All right. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night, and we are live, Roundtable Tuesday. So, coming to you again live tonight. Excited to talk about a topic of homelessness. We're going to take a glimpse into that. And tonight we have House District 2 candidate with us, Victoria Partridge, and I'm excited to have her here with us to talk about this topic. This is a topic that has also been something near and dear to my heart for a long time. Of course, the face of homelessness and the way that we have seen homelessness um, growing in Denver and then, of course, throughout the state has really changed over the years. And in my lifetime, I've seen the way homelessness looks and who we are seeing on the streets and the reasons for that change dramatically. So we'll talk a little bit tonight with Victoria about that. As usual, I'm going to talk to you about a few quick things first. Justify.org. I'm still working a little bit on that website, but getting so much information up there and excited to bring that to you. You'll continue to see our website growing. Our Facebook group, justify.org, is also growing in membership, so please visit it and become a member. Justify.org, it's a Facebook group now, and all you need to do is request membership. We would love to have you. We are doing political activism with regard to activity. No, just sitting around creating a receptacle for more commenting. We want to be talking about what we can actually do to move our political candidates forward, to move our agenda forward, whether it's canvassing or protesting something, getting signatures, whatever we need to be doing so that we can fight this beast that we're fighting. So please visit the website, LinkedIn company page for justify.org or the Facebook page. As usual, I will tell you, if you're watching this video tonight, make sure when you're finished, share it. Okay? So let's go ahead and start off by hearing a little bit from Victoria. I'm going to have her tell you about her and her campaign. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is really great. You're doing a really great service to myself as a candidate and to democracy by hosting this roundtable. So thank you very much. My name is Victoria Partridge. I'm running for House District 2, and it goes from University neighborhood up to 20th, so just north of the Capitol.
Tell us a little bit about your career and your educational background. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and what motivated you to run.
So I'm from Colorado. I was born in Sydney, Australia, but I grew up here in Colorado. My parents are still here in Colorado. They live in Parker. I went to Ponderosa High School, so I feel like I'm a native since 1991. I love Colorado. It's wonderful. One of the reasons I'm running is because we need Republicans in office. We need to start making some changes. One of the problems I believe that's made the negative changes in Colorado is that we just have one party in charge. It's a Democratic Party from the governor all the way down. And we need to have variety. We need to have other voices in there. I believe that that's what makes government better, makes it work, communication. And so it's one of the reasons I'm running. And my opponent, Alec Garnett, nobody ever runs. So he needs to have, there needs to be a choice on the ballot. He needs to have an opponent. So I stepped up.
So your Democratic opponent is an incumbent, and it sounds like has just been kind of stealing away that seat for quite a while. So congratulations for stepping up into that. That can definitely be a little intimidating to step up against a Democratic incumbent, especially in an area that's heavily Democratic. So, just bravo to you for stepping up and doing that. It's a challenge. And I know personally that you really put yourself out there a lot when you do that. So I'm glad you're doing that. Tell us a couple of the things, just real briefly before we get into our topic, that you kind of what your agenda is, 2 or 3 things that when elected you would like to address. Obviously, we're going to be talking about homelessness, so my guess is that's a big one, but maybe a couple other things that are important to you.
I believe that it's time to get people in there that will actually start lowering taxes, not increasing them, my opponent, Alec Garnett, supported and passed a bill that will be taxing PPE money that you all took out in good faith. So next year it's going to be taxed. Why is that? Why are the Democrats supporting higher taxes? We need to support lowering taxes. And I also believe that we need parental choice. Parents need to be back in charge for their child's education. Parents need to be able to choose what's best for their child. You know what's best for your child. You're raising your child. All of these things that are happening right now with COVID and all these other vouchers and all this stuff, the schools want to take that away from the parents. We need parental choice. Lower taxes, parental choice, and we need to protect the environment. I'm really glad that Cory Gardner has got the full funding for our conservation fund. And that just shows that Republicans actually do care about the environment. Democrats want to paint us as anti-environment, racist, all these horrible things, and we're not. We care about the environment. We care about people. We care about America. So.
Yeah. Great. Good to hear that. Yeah, family, parental choice and family issues. Well, that's something that's been under attack for a long time with the Democrats. So that we could have a whole nother broadcast just to talk about that. For sure. So, when I talked to you on the phone, we were deciding to do this. I asked you a little bit about homelessness and stuff, and this is something that I've wanted to talk about because. Being a Colorado native and having worked in Denver and the surrounding areas for so many years, one thing that I have noticed about homelessness is that years ago, homelessness seemed to be pervasive in certain pockets of the city, particularly in downtown areas and even certain spots in downtown areas. And the face of homelessness was always pretty consistent for a long time, in terms of some of the issues that we saw leading people to homelessness and that type of thing. Now, I think, especially in the last few years and in recent years, it seems as though what we're seeing in terms of our homeless population has changed drastically. And one of the things I've noticed a lot of is much younger people comprising that homeless population, and also that it has really spread out everywhere over the metro area. So share with us what is one of your biggest concerns, Victoria, about homelessness? And of course, you're running in Denver, but as a representative, you'll represent Colorado. So in either Denver or Colorado.
My main concern are the safety issues of the encampment. So in my district, Capitol Hill is one of the neighborhoods that's in my district. We have a really big problem here. Yeah. We're getting hit hard with homelessness here in HD2. The needles on the streets, the urinating and defecating in the streets, the crime. I was driving by not that long ago, one of the homeless encampments here just in the city. One of the tents was full of bikes to the top. Those are not donated. They go and steal those bikes from the residents that are living here. And how is that okay? And no one's doing anything about it. They're finally breaking up the encampments, finally. So now the groups of people are kind of being dispersed and moved around. And that's good that there's not we have a camping ban. It was voted on by the people. We need to enforce what the people want. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super important. So we need to make sure that the crime goes down from the homeless encampments, right. The needles that are being used, there's prostitution going on in these homeless encampments. Like, it's just dangerous. People are walking into their homes and it's not safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are and my main concerns.
Well, and maybe you could talk a little bit to this, or what you've noticed as you've been campaigning. I know that having worked in Denver and with business owners, and I have friends who have worked for DPD, and I have friends who work or are affiliated with, folks in other police departments and different places. And I owned a business for 5 years, over in the Wheat Ridge area, right off of I-70. And, maybe you could talk a little bit about the impact to the economy and businesses as well, because it's not just people's homes, bicycles that are being stolen or threat to their homes. But what are you seeing the impact on conducting business, being a small business owner or having a business in these areas where these homeless encampments have just kind of, run wild?
So on the 16th Street Mall, they've had several restaurants close due to COVID, but they also will say due to the homeless problem. My neighbor was out, this was a few weeks ago, maybe last month. She was out enjoying a drink with her friend. They were sitting out on one of the patios that has been pushed out now with the COVID social distancing. A transient homeless person came up out of nowhere and threw a rock at them, and it hit her friend's head, and she's in the ICU.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's part of the problem. Is it's not even just the encampments. It's just like this big cluster of homeless people just hanging around the 16th Street Mall specifically and harassing the patrons that are going down there, tourists that are going down there. And how is that okay? I mean, and the police, they're doing the best that they can. And that's a whole nother topic, right? We can go another 30 minutes on the police, and I fully support our police, and I know that they're doing the best that they can with what they've got. They're not getting a lot of backup from their top guy, which is the mayor and the governor right now. So,
you're only as strong as a police. You can only be as strong as a police force as what you are given. The strength you're given by people who control your money, your resources, your policy making, that type of thing. So, but unfortunately are subjugated to those people who have an agenda that is, pushed forward by the police being hand-tied, and that's unfortunate. And so I think that's one of the big things, right, is to look at business owners. A lot of people are not going to businesses in certain areas because they simply are, I don't know if I want to use the word afraid. I mean, possibly afraid because they might be getting assaulted or things like that. But I think in a lot of aspects too, disgusted. I don't want to go downtown. I used to go downtown for things and stuff down there, but what do I want to go down there for? I want to look at people, laying on the street, drugged out and going to the bathroom on the sidewalk, and piles and piles and mountains of trash. I mean, I don't even know where this stuff is coming from other than it being stolen from people's houses. I was looking at some of the piles of stuff, and I saw some of it live when I went downtown in June to do some stuff. And I've also seen images of it. And there's things in these piles of trash that don't even make sense, from kids' toys to, it's just insane. It's this bizarre situation of just stealing stuff and piling it up there to have it. And so, businesses are suffering. We had a business for 5 years, which we closed a couple of years ago, and we were over off of I-70 in Kipling. And I thought when we started our business over there, we're way off of Kipling, we're pretty far away from downtown. It was a nightmare. We constantly had a homeless situation going on in our parking lot. We had them coming into our business all the time, and we supported the homeless. We started our business with a charity event for the homeless. That was one of the things that my family, we actually started our own program to feed the homeless and do a lot of things. And so we did a lot around that. And we tried to embrace it as much as we could. We would oftentimes provide people with a meal or pay them to clean up the parking lot or do things like that to try to give them some purpose and things. But at some point too, then you become overrun. And even as a business owner, if you're trying really hard to try to help those people get an opportunity or things like that, not all of your patrons always appreciate that. And so it is a fine line between being able to run your business and help the people who are in your area that are homeless. I think that what we saw a lot of is a chronic situation where even when you try to help someone, they're not taking advantage of that help, of course. And so that's really hard as well. And so have you had a chance to kind of get at, I know that you mentioned 16th Street, but I think Colfax too is another strip that is probably really affected by that. Is that in your area as well? Kind of that.
Yeah, there's a small portion of Colfax that's in my area. Mainly where they're hanging out. I know they've been breaking up the camp, so they've spread around now. But they were at 14th and Clarkson. Sorry, I was trying to remember the street names. They were, of course, at the Capitol building. That whole park area. They've broken that up. That's all gone now. I did notice that when I was driving down Colfax that it was pretty clean and they weren't really hanging out there because they were all down at the Capitol. So now that's been cleaned up, and I haven't been over to Colfax lately to see. But there are still encampments on 14th. Some of them moved across the street. Some of them moved up the street. I did see some homeless people walking around my area where I live. So they're around. They're still here. We need to get these people the help that they need.
A little bit more, Victoria. What do you mean by that? I think, when you say help, what are you talking about? What do you think is one of the underlying issues that we need to address to stop this?
I would like to see a cohesive program that, well, for lack of a better word, tracks the people, right? So, sorry about that. There are programs in Austin, Vegas, and the UK and San Francisco that have a computer system where man, woman, child are logged in when they are arrested, or they go to advocacy group X over here. And so then they're in this program, so they know what's happening, right? When we go to the doctor's office, we bring our files with us. Or when we go to another doctor, we bring our files and we say, hey, here's my records. This is what I need help with. And they're like, great. And they look at it and they're like, this is great. Let me help you.
Right.
Homeless people don't have that, right? There was a gentleman that was interviewed just the other day in the Denver Post who his encampment was broken up over by the Denver Art Museum. And he had said he had spoken to an advocacy woman the day before. He didn't remember her name. And how was she going to find him? He was going to go down by the river, I think he said in the interview. Mm-hmm. Well, if we had a computer system, then when somebody does find him, they can look at the computer and say, oh, you talk to Sally, an advocacy group over here to help you. You know what? I can get you in touch with Sally. I can get you. In fact, we have the same program and we can help you right now. That's what we need, is a tracking system that helps these people. Because if so-and-so has just a mental problem, then and when they're on medication, they can get a job and get housed. Great. But if we don't have a system that says that, and it just keeps a new group sees this person all the time, then nobody really knows what's wrong with them. And they don't have a file, or even a lot of these people don't even have an ID. So this computer could help them. There's the name and the ID and what has been going on with them, and say, oh, wow, here's a pattern. They have a mental health issue. They have a drug problem. Maybe they have, there's so many issues that we all have. And if we can see a pattern with someone, I believe that the first step is getting a cohesive program for the state of Colorado where we can see what's really going on with the men and women and children that are on the streets. It's working in other states. And I believe that if we get a legislator, myself, in there, can start getting the ball rolling and make it happen. There's just nobody in office that wants to step up and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen. It's just too many people just talking. And we're going to keep talking about it. And we'll give X amount of money to the different advocacy groups, which is great, but they don't talk to each other.
Right.
So a computer system could help that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You referenced healthcare and bringing your records with you and stuff. That's called continuity of care. That's something we address in healthcare and in mental health care. When I did mental health for, 15 years, I did mental health treatment, and I worked predominantly with court-ordered folks and people in the system, social services, justice systems, prison systems, all of those types of things and stuff. And we harped on continuity of care, case management types of services and things where we had interdisciplinary teams. If we were working with a youth and the youth had a parole officer and a mental health counselor and a drug and alcohol counselor and someone from the school and a police officer who also knew them and stuff, the goal was, right, that all of those people would be on the same page to help move this child forward. And so if we have a system that allows continuity of care, right? In other words, people are saying that homelessness is a public health issue and et cetera. Of course, ever since we legalized marijuana and decreased sort of the stigma around drug use overall in the state, right? It's become kind of a sanctuary area for people who are not just smoking some marijuana socially, right? But who have a lot of significant health issues. And so significant addiction issues, But if we are looking at this as a public health issue, right, then why are we not talking about continuity of care? It just seems logical. So I'm so happy to hear you talk about that and, know that when you're elected that you're just going to hit it hard to get that taken care of and move it forward.
Yep.
And I think there are a lot of groups of people out there who are advocating for different things that would be really happy to hear that. So it's just a matter of finding the right people. And I certainly would support something like that in every way I could as well. I think that that's a necessity at this point. And for those people who don't necessarily need care, but they're just simply out on the streets because this is something they want to do, or raise Cain, right? Because we know that there is a segment of our homeless population who are choosing to do that because it's
that's their choice. That's right.
That's their choice, and it's easier than having responsibilities or whatever.
Right. I mean, don't want to pay bills either.
Right. Then we can at least identify them too, as well, and really concentrate our efforts on the people who do actually need or will accept.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I really like that idea. So we are kind of getting toward the end here, but I wanted to ask you if you had any last thoughts on this issue. And what I did want to ask you is your opponent. What is your opponent doing about homelessness? I mean, he's an incumbent, right? And Democrats are all really nice people and they want to help everybody, right? So they want to help all the homeless people.
Sure, of course.
So what's he doing to resolve the situation?
He's doing nothing. Alec Garnett does nothing. He does nothing for this district. He's been doing nothing for this district the entire time that he's been in office. So I'm going to do something. I care about the people in this district. I've been working the entire time of my life, and as an adult, he's a career politician that's just been a politician. He doesn't know what it is to have a job and to be working and paying bills and out here dealing with all of these issues. So I'm here to make sure change happens and hold him accountable for doing nothing for this district.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that if you had been in office for any length of time in District 2, which has always had a homeless issue.
Right.
I mean, it has, like I said, it has changed and it has grown over time. But that district has always had issues with homelessness. This is nothing new to District 2.
Right.
I mean, we're not talking about, oh my gosh, for the first time ever, we have some homeless people this year. No, that is not the situation there. So, I mean, how could you be in office representing that district for any length of time and, you haven't already created and started and sponsored legislation to do some of these things that are essential to rectifying this issue?
Exactly.
And I can't imagine that there are other issues in District 2 that are so overpowering that you've just forgotten that homelessness is an issue there.
Exactly. So we need to hold them accountable and say, you've not been doing anything. What are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just checking out there. Kevin Conrad was on with us tonight. He said, hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. I also want to just encourage you guys and remind you, please, if you have any comments or questions right now, please post them up. We're getting toward the end of our broadcast, and I want to make sure that we address any questions that you might have or comments that you have for Victoria, even if it's just to tell her, way to go, good job, thanks for stepping up. Or if you have questions to follow up with what we're talking about, we do have some eyeballs on us right now. So just encourage you to post those comments here. And I just want to thank you, Victoria, for coming on tonight. Again, thank you for stepping up and running, but also for talking about this issue. I think your idea is really creative, and no matter what happens this year, next year, the year after, I hope you continue to pursue that and get to write that legislation and push that legislation forward to get that type of program in place so that we can really start to do something rather than just, give it lip service, which I think we do a lot of with regard to homelessness. And a big piece of that's going to be fixing our mental health system.
That's right.
And boy, oh boy, want to talk about a tough job. I worked in that system for many, many years, and I can tell you, when you talk about broken, man, they have quite a few cracks there. So, but I do think that the two things go hand in hand, and your idea will help feed into the other one as well.
Right. So, it's a start. We need to start somewhere.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we will respect time and wrap up here in a minute or so. Again, thanks for coming on, everybody. If you've been watching tonight, the last thing I'm going to remind you to do is share this video everywhere. We need to give Victoria some airtime, and she was so gracious as to come on and talk to us tonight and share her ideas on this really important topic. So make sure that you share, hit that little share button, hit that like button. And also, as a friend of mine, Tony always says, what is the lifeblood of any campaign? Money, money, money. So just give up that coffee for this week and send Victoria $5. So it doesn't have to be a ton. And also, she is looking for folks who will canvas with her. So you can catch her on Facebook or on her website. And if you have any difficulty getting in touch with her, well, you know where I am, and I will get you in touch with her. So you can let me know as well. So thanks for joining us tonight. And don't forget, share, promote, get out and do something, and justify the communism that we are facing.
Right.
Any last words, Victoria?
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been really great. It's so nice to have a platform to be able to speak about what's really going on and the issues that are out there. And just thank you for everybody watching. And I really appreciate any support that you can give me. It means a lot, really. We really have a big uphill battle, and we've got to take Alec Garnett down.
Good. All right. Way to go. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.